Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in just a minute, and pretty soon you'll see a slide on the screen asking for our question of the day. And like magic, here it is. So if you all, while we wait for folks to join, could put in the chat the answer to this question. How do you get information out about your summer meals program out into the community? So we'll get you started in just a minute. And while we wait, we want to hear from you in the chat, because honestly, the best way to get new ideas is to steal others' ideas. So this may be a little self-serving, but definitely, utilize this chat to hear from folks across the nation. Great. I have emails and newsletters, flyers. Ooh, canvassing. That's a great idea. Radio. Broadcast emails, radio stations, public buses, very cool. All right, things are flying in, so I'm going to leave it to you all to look at the chat, but this is some great information. Thank you all for sharing, and keep sharing as we move on to get started. So welcome, everyone. My name is Paige Picorni. This is our Schools Out, Foods In summer webinar series. Today's webinar is all about spreading the word about summer meals and summer pandemic EBT. We're going to be talking a lot about outreach and promotion today. So just a few housekeeping notes. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording and slide deck will be shared to all attendees and registrants via email after the webinar. We'll also have time at the end of the presentation to hear from you. So please put all of your questions in the Q&A box. We'll get to those at the end of the webinar. We have closed captioning available, and if you'd have any technology or accessibility issues, please message Share Our Strength, and my colleague Hannah will help troubleshoot. But you can access closed captioning at the bottom of your screen. We encourage the use of the chat box, so thank you for getting that started. Continue to share ideas and engage with each other and the speakers. There is a variety of people on the call with a lot of cumulative experience, and we want to tap into that. At the end of today's webinar, a brief survey will pop up in your browser window. Please take a moment to complete the survey. We read every single response, and we want to make sure that we are using your input to improve our webinars for you. Now for today's agenda. So after some additional information about summer meals from myself, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Chloe Eberhardt, to share a bit about some summer pandemic EBT, and then we'll dive into outreach strategies and promotion strategies from three of our speakers: Andrea Garcia Schoelzel from the Office of Children's Affairs in Denver, Michelle Poirier from Jurupa Unified School District, and Tony Windsor from the Boys and Girls Clubs of Delaware. And last, as I mentioned, we'll finish up with some Q&A. So today we are talking all things outreach and promotion, which we know is having effective promotion is an important strategy to maximize access and participation to summer meals. Next slide. So when you're asking yourself, how do I promote my program? Really, there's two main questions, right? Who are you trying to talk to, and where do they get their information? And here are just a few ideas on the screen. Next slide. And at No Kid Hungry, we'd like to help as much as we can. So just today, hot off the press, literally finished tidying this up this morning. We have our 2023 Summer Meals Outreach Toolkit. It's similar to if you used our toolkits in the past or toolkits for other programs. But if you click that link, and I'll drop it in the chat right now, you will find downloadable, customizable, but also just print and play graphics, sample website blurbs, customizable flyers, and so much more, all available in Spanish and English. So take a look at that. We're excited to have that ready for you to start promoting your program now. Next slide. And we also want you to take advantage of our No Kid Hungry texting line and free meal finder map. So across the country, any person can text food or comida to 304-304 to find the nearest summer meal site to them. And they can also, anyone can visit nokidhungry.org/help or nokidhungry.org/ayuda for an interactive free meal finder map of summer meal sites and other resources. I will also share, we are super excited this year. For the first time, we are offering our texting services through WhatsApp. I don't have information on how to access that just yet. We're still finalizing all of the details, but we're very excited to have this messaging app for immigrant and Latino families in the US. So more to come there, but know that in addition to standard, SMS texting, we'll also have a new WhatsApp capability for this summer. Next slide. And to kind of frame up this conversation and to lead into what my wonderful colleague Chloe will be sharing, we want to talk about the opportunity this summer. So as we know, Summer Meals has always been a great program, but it's had its limitations in being able to access and meet families where they are. So we see a huge opportunity this summer with kind of a 3-pillar approach to serving summer meals. First, the bread and butter of the program, right? Congregate in-person summer meals, which are critical and will always be a core part of the program. But new this summer, we have an opportunity in rural communities to offer non-congregate summer meals in certain states, which is really awesome to allow that to-go access to summer meals in especially areas that are hard hit by access issues in rural communities. And last, and what my colleague Chloe will be sharing about, is a new opportunity in the future of a permanent summer EBT program and pandemic summer EBT this summer. They are 2 different programs that will operate differently, but have the same goal of providing additional benefits for families over the summer. So Chloe's going to talk a bit more about that, but I just wanted to share, how we're thinking about summer and how we see this huge opportunity to really meet children and where they are. And with that, I'll pass it over to Chloe.
Thanks, Paige. Hi, everyone. So I'm here to talk about summer pandemic EBT that's available this summer for children across the country. We are super excited about the fact that the summer EBT program is going to be permanent moving forward next summer, and are working along with folks across the country to make a great program that's going to really reach kids and support summer food access that complements all of the great work that folks do to expand access to summer meals. But before we jump to thinking about that permanent program, summer pandemic EBT is still a program for this summer that can be available for many kids. The program, generally, it can reach around over 36 million children in our country. So it has a huge reach. And that's why it's such a critical resource to support kids during the summer. So if you haven't heard of summer pandemic EBT, it provides grocery benefits to families with children to support children when school meals and school is closed. And it's been operating in the pandemic, really came about in spring of 2020 because of school closures, and then has been a program that's been available as things have shifted and changed during the pandemic. But I think as many of you are aware, the program has looked different every year and has had different tweaks to it. So what I'm going to talk about is the reality for pandemic EBT in 2023, and also specifically for summer pandemic EBT, since we're talking about summer outreach today. So there's a few factors here, and one of those is, oh, Hannah, can you go back to the slide before? Thanks. So one of those is that the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023 passed this past December, and that changed a few things about summer PEBT this year. So first and foremost, it's available for school-aged children, so not available for those under 6, which is different than previous years. And then also kids who are homeschooled or attend a virtual school where they don't get school meals are not eligible for summer PBT this year either. And then another really big thing that was a change this year is that summer benefits are $120 per child, so $40 a month for 3 months. So that was a change through that Appropriations Act. The change on the kids who are able to access this program this summer was because of the end of the federal public health emergency, which is anticipated May 11th. So there's a lot there, but I just want to make sure you all are aware of the group of children who can participate in the program. And we have a resource that kind of goes into more detail on both summer and the whole of Pandemic EBT for 2023. So school year benefits as well. If you want to find out more, drop that in the chat. So really, it's a similar audience of children and families you're trying to reach with summer meals information who are eligible and able to access summer Pandemic EBT. But it's really important to share and spread the word about the program because it's still fairly new and it changes so much. So yeah, next slide. We have some resources to help with that, which is also, like Paige said, hot off the presses. So I finished it yesterday evening. So we have a Pandemic EBT outreach toolkit. So it's updated with a lot of different outreach materials that you can use, available in English, Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, and Tagalog. So those are all options that are available to you. I hope that you'll take advantage of them and share about this great program that we want to make sure families have access to. So Paige, I think I'm passing it back to you.
Thanks so much, Chloe, and such great information. I have a lot of questions in the Q&A. If you want to answer some of them live, just do that, or you can go ahead and get started, Chloe, on answering those. But such great information, such a great opportunity this summer and for future summers. I'm just highlighting a bunch of resources now. So we have so many resources for summer meals available on our website. Here's just a few of them. Next slide. And I do want to call out some newer resources we have available for the rural non-congregate option. I'll drop a few in the chat after a little bit later on. And if you are potentially eligible for rural non-congregate this summer, I highly encourage you, next slide, to tune into our upcoming webinar on Monday. We're going to talk all about non-congregate. We made the webinar an hour and 15 minutes because we know it's a hot topic, and we're going to have 3 wonderful speakers who will be sharing about their plans for non-congregate this summer. And so please do tune in if you have some interest there. Next slide. And last but not least, I want to shout out the past and future summer webinars we have planned. We did some great ones earlier in this year and have some great ones coming up. So next month, we'll be talking about strategies to improve the summer meals experience for kids and families. And in June, we're already thinking to the next year to talk about year-round meals and tips for transitioning to summer to after-school meals. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to our first wonderful speaker, Andrea, who'll be talking a little bit about her food program in Denver.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. My name is Andrea Garcia Schoelzel, and I'm excited to share with you some ideas. I want to give a little context. I work for the Office of Children's Affairs, and so we're part of the municipal government here in Denver, Colorado. We sponsor both after-school at-risk meals during the school year and the summer food service program. And so we sponsor a majority of open sites. And so the ideas I'm going to share are mostly relevant to sites serving the general public. And we serve in a very urban context amongst very diverse populations. And so the first idea is one that we're going to implement this summer, and it's a loyalty card. We call our meal program Tasty Food, where Denver youth eat free. And so I would imagine our card, which has not yet been created, will have our name and logo, similar to the cards here on the screen. And this loyalty card or frequent user card idea came about because we want to increase each young person's recidivism or let's see, what's another way to put it? Just increase their participation at each of our sites so that they know that they can come back again and again to enjoy a meal or a snack. And so this is one way that we're hoping to increase return participation. Very similar to, you know, a local coffee shop's loyalty card or a nail salon's loyalty card, in which, you know, let's say, for instance, our Tasty Food loyalty card may have 10 spaces on the back. And so each time you visit, a young person visits, they'll get a stamp on their loyalty card. It's a way that they can also engage in a new way with the meal program and in a fun way. You know, you can have fun with it, meaning you can make, you know, if you bring a friend or bring someone new with you, maybe you get a double stamp or double punch. And there's a lot of templates online. And so this is something that can be created without necessarily a marketing background of any sort. And let's see, oh, okay. So of course, this loyalty card has to come with an incentive. And so for us, we don't necessarily have a budget to give something to each young person that turns in a card. But let's say we're kind of leaning toward once a month having a drawing. So any young person that is able to get 10 stamps on their loyalty card can put their card into a monthly drawing at the site. And then, of course, we will have to come up with some pretty cool prizes. So that's the first idea I wanted to throw out there for increasing participation. If you want to go to the next slide. Another idea we have is reaching out and partnering up with our local independent grocery stores. Not to say that a Kroger's or a Safeway, gosh, there's so many different names across the country for King Supers. I think Piggly Wiggly, maybe that's in your neighborhood. So I'm not sure if the big chain grocery stores would be up for this, but definitely the smaller, more local independent grocery stores. I've actually engaged in this outreach strategy. And so what I mean by grocery store checkout is I went to a local grocery store, a couple in a nearby community, and asked if we could equip their each checkout stand with some flyers for the free meal sites for youth nearby. And so anytime a family utilized their SNAP or EBT benefits, the checkout teller would automatically put a free meal site flyer in one of the grocery bags for that family. And I was amazed that this grocery store, a couple actually said, yes, we're on board to help promote the free meal sites in the area for youth. And so, you know, maybe if the maybe one of the ways to kind of like flag, putting a flyer in one of the grocery bags or just even handing it to the family is when they use an EBT card. Another is perhaps just any family that goes through with children, providing a flyer automatically. I think that one of the important things with this strategy is thinking through the demographics serviced by that particular grocery store in terms of what languages you may need to have on the flyer or the postcard that's given out. And maybe, a grocery store may not be up for doing this just on a continual basis, but perhaps if you, said, we'd like to run this promo for a week before summer launches and then a week after summer launches. So having a start and end time may allow a grocery store to get on board with this. All right, so next slide. I also wanted to touch upon just the importance of branding your meal program and how effective that is regarding outreach and promotion and increasing participation. And so I would say in terms of branding your meal program, a good place to start is getting with your team and garnering also community, site staff, and youth voice, and creating a name for your meal program. For probably the first, I don't know, maybe six or 7 years that we were sponsoring meal programs, all of our flyers would say something like free after school meals for youth or free summer meal program. And so we thought it's time to create a name for our meal program and a logo. And so I would encourage you to do the same because there's so many benefits to branding. And I've just jotted down 3. The first is it helps to increase recognition. Of course, you see all of the logos there on the screen. And if you see a swoosh, I'm sure you all would know that that is Nike's brand. Or if you saw a, golden arches right there on the screen, everyone knows for the most part that that's McDonald's. So it increases recognition that when they see your name and your logo, when someone sees Tasty Food and our logo, they know that that's a free meal program for youth. Branding also increases trust among community members, that they know that this is a trusted, high quality resource that they can rely on. And then third, it helps to increase word of mouth. And so someone that says, hey, you should, we've been taking our kids to a Tasty Food site for lunch each day. It becomes part of the common vernacular among parents, caregivers, and youth, which can only help. And so I would say start with your name and logo. If anyone has a name that they have come up with, I'd love for you to put it in the chat. I know that in Denver, another sponsor calls theirs the Kids Cafe, which I think is very cool. So yeah, if you guys have done that, we'd love to hear your name. Summer Eats, very cool. And then, of course, when it comes to branding, put your name and logo on everything. Everything from your email signature to letterhead, to your training resources, to the t-shirts that your team wears, if that's something you all do, to any kind of banners, etc. So so that there's consistency. If you see your name and logo on a banner on the side of the bus, and then you see that signage at the recreation center or library where you're serving meals, that will only help increase your site's participation. Okay, and then last slide is just the power of word of mouth. There is a model of outreach and promotion in the Latino community called promotora model or promotoras. And basically that's community members that are willing to share about your program with others in the community. And this is a really culturally relevant outreach strategy, especially in the Latino community, because they want to hear about something from a trusted source. So if there is, if something comes, if program information comes from your neighbor, your friend, your aunt, you're more likely to see it as a trusted resource and participate in it. And so this promotora model or word of mouth, you can link it to even the first strategy I shared in terms of the loyalty card. Hey, if you share with a friend or a family member and they come, you'll get double stamps. It's just that trusted resource that makes a difference. And then I would just say, one of the, sorry, I just wanted to share Paige's comment, but I'll do that if I have time later. The last thing I wanted to share, and this goes with word of mouth, is understanding your community and the populations that you serve and the cultural relevant ways that you will want to engage in outreach and promotion. We have been very fortunate to receive a grant that will allow us to hire a community engagement specialist, someone who can build relationships in the community and make the resources as local as possible. So if you're reaching out to families and caregivers, what is most effective is letting them know what are the nearest free meal sites for youth located to them. And so with that, thank you for all that you do. I'm learning from you all as much as I'm sharing some ideas. So thank you, Paige, and thank you all.
Thank you, Andrea. I think up next we have Missy.
Hi, my name is Michelle Poirier. Everybody calls me Missy. I'm from the Jurupa Unified School District in Jurupa Valley, California. It's right next to Riverside, Southern California. So I'm here to talk a little bit about summer feeding as it pertains to school districts. So next slide, please. So just so you understand where I'm going, the first thing we're going to talk about is how do we spread the word? Who's our audience? Special events. And remember, before you know it, it's over. So next slide, please. So I am very, very lucky that I do have a district communications team who works really closely with me, and they come out and they take pictures. They're always there to support. We just did an event this morning and they were there taking photos. And then they'll blast those out on all the social media websites. It also goes on our website. So when it comes to anything that we are doing within nutrition services, our communication team blasts it out to everybody and anybody. It also goes on our district website. So all of our school locations that are serving meals and their serving times will be listed on our website. And we have some community-based sites as well that are not on schools, that are not on school grounds, that'll be on there as well. We also send email blasts out to parents so that they know when and where we're going to be serving meals. If their student is not attending a program that's on a school campus, they will know where to get meals outside of those school campuses, because we, like I said, we do have other sites. And then we have community partners. I partner with several different community organizations, and we let our partners know where else we're serving. Because you may have a parent who says, oh, I'm not going to be close to this location tomorrow. Do you know where the closest location is to wherever I'm going to be? So we let all of our partners know what we're doing, where we're doing, and what the times are. Next slide, please. And so our audience, so they're not just the students. It's not just anyone under 18 years old. It's the parents, because the parents are the ones that are going to get them there. The community members, because maybe they know a neighbor who has kids under 18 that need this service. And so they could communicate that with that family. Any child can get a meal. They don't have to be enrolled in any of our programs to receive a meal. So it's good for all of your partners to know who your audience is, so that they understand that as well. And just the more you let everybody know what you're doing and when you're doing it and all of that, the easier it is for the community to get to your program and get the kids fed. Next slide, please. So special events. This is I love special events. This is really where I shine. So you see in the bottom, there's a blender bike, or if you can't see what it is, it's a blender bike. We did this morning. So I had 3 blender bikes out, actually with the bus drivers. Today is Bus Driver Appreciation Day. And so to appreciate the bus drivers, I brought all 3 of my blender bikes out, so that the bus drivers, the band from one of the local middle schools that was there, everybody could just jump on a bike, make a smoothie, and just have fun with it. And everybody was having a blast. So these are the things that keep our kids engaged all summer long. So I love to bring the blender bikes out during barbecues or any special event that I'm having, so that the kids can really learn something. Because I don't just throw the blender bike out there and say have at it. I teach them a little something while they're on it. So it's kinetic energy. These are the muscles that you're using to make that smoothie. And that is me in the corner there with the orange shirt on, kind of making a stupid face, because that child had never ridden a bike before. And that's really like one of the most rewarding things is you do get kids that are like, I've never ridden a bike before, miss. And that's okay. Let me show you how. And I'll sit there and with my hands move the pedals with them and help them, so that they understand and to keep the balance. And I always make them wear helmets, because we are teaching students, and so always teach bike safety. So always have a helmet on. So people make fun of me for that. And they're like, it's a stationary bike. Why do I have to wear a helmet? And I'm like, bike safety is bike safety, regardless of whether that bike moves or not. So yeah, we have a lot of fun. In one of those pictures, you'll see an apple. That is one of our Riverside University Health is a community-based healthcare service, and we partner with them. And so she came out, and it was 116 degrees that day. And she was dressed as an apple for like 3 hours, running around, just engaging with the students. This is one of our local libraries. So it really helps to really combine the students with the community, but also with the classroom, even during summer. Make sure that they're still getting that education piece from us, because that's what we do. We educate them and make it fun. Always make it fun. You'll see my little superhero fruits and veggies and my little milk carton. Those are on my logo. If you'll see on everybody's t-shirts, the little fruits and veggies. That's my logo for nutrition services. We have our district logo, and then I have a nutrition service logo that's fun. That really kind of speaks to the students, because I never act my age, as my uncle always told me, act my age, not my shoe size. I can't. I act my shoe size. I'm 9. I eat like a 9-year-old. I act like a 9-year-old. And I think I connect better with the kids because I do think and act like a 9-year-old a lot. So it's just, you just got to make it fun, and really, they will come. And I've had great participation from students because they're here having fun. They see these fun logos and they just know we're going to be fun. Next slide, please. All right, and just remember, it's over before you even know it. So summer starts and then slap, it ends. It is that quick. So you have to react quickly to whatever comes your way. What, I mean, if you have really low participation at a site, react right now. Don't wait. Don't think, oh, I have a week. Let me give it a week and see what happens. You're going to lose money if you do that. Act right now. There's always things you can do for backup. If you were wrong, if it was, if you don't know the answer why that meal site is low today, then react. You've got to adjust fast, because it's 4 to 6 weeks, maybe 7 or 8 in some places, but for us it is fast and furious 6 weeks. And my school programs are only 4 weeks, so my community programs run an extra 2 weeks, and then it's over. So you gotta do everything you can to feed as many students as you can, or as many kids under 18 as you can in that very short time. So you've got to start your planning yesterday. Your planning should have started in February and March. I always plan for next year as soon as this year ends. So last year, at the end of July, when we were finally finished with everything, I sent out thank yous to all of my partners and said, we are going to do this again next year. You will hear from me. And I put it on my calendar so that when I tell them you're going to hear from me in February, they hear from me in February. I'm always making sure it's on my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, I won't do it. So I put it on my calendar now for 6 months from now, and we'll make sure that everybody knows what we're going to do before we even do it. And then that way you've got better, your partners are better prepared. And the last thing I will say, and this is kind of my theory on life, is do what you love. It's not work for me because I love doing it. And if you don't love doing it, it becomes work, and nobody wants to go to work every day. You want to go someplace you love. So do what you love the kids, and it'll all work out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Missy. I really want to attend one of your sites and hop on that bike, so I might be flying across the country to do that this summer. To round us out, I'm going to pass it over to Tony.
Good afternoon. I'll tell you, I'm really excited to be here today. And, I would be remiss not to say how honored and humbled I am to be serving on the slate, on the cohort of this year's No Kid Hungry's Out of School Time Meal Champions. It's a phenomenal group of people, creative and passionate. And I just want to be able to say that right off the cuff. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm Tony Windsor, and I'm Food Program Director for Boys and Girls Clubs of Delaware's program. And I've been in the program for about 25 years. Now, I don't have a PowerPoint, but I do have pictures that I just want to set the flavor of what it is we all are doing and trying to do, and that is to serve our communities. And I, rather than, instruct, I just like to have a conversation, just share what I have experienced, which I kind of have found the last 25 years working with the program to be kind of a trial by fire. But, I encourage everyone to take advantage of these phenomenal ideas that have been presented today by the two previous speakers. Some great ideas, and something that would be wonderful to emulate. But also, your audience, your environment, your communities. So don't be afraid to experiment a little bit. Don't be afraid to kind of go outside the box and come up with some ideas, because no matter what, because you're providing a service, and a very valuable service, you're not going to fail. It's just going to be another great learning experience. And I recall early on when I started working with Boys and Girls Clubs in the food program, someone said to me, you know, sometimes our food provisions are the only meals, certainly nutritional meals, that some of our children receive outside of meals provided at school. Now, I found this difficult to believe at the time, and I kind of thought that they were maybe embellishing a little bit for dramatic purposes, but it didn't take long for me to discover this is not only true, but even more prevalent than I had ever imagined. The outside school time meals that we provide, and I say we as in all of us, not just us, but all of the audience here today and on the group here presenting, these meals are an extraordinary resource for the communities our organizations serve. Now, in our case, Delaware is a relatively small state with only 3 counties, and you have the ability to travel from end to end in the state in about 2 hours. And Boys and Girls Clubs in our food program, we have 42 center and school sites throughout the state. So we're able to saturate the geographic footprint pretty well and reach a lot of children in our state. But even as an organization with as high profile and familiarity as Boys and Girls Clubs, we still have to promote and advertise in order to keep the communities that we're serving aware of our programmatic and humanitarian outreaches. Now, though we've been involved in the child and adult care food program and summer food meal services for decades, it's only been in the last 3 years that we've transitioned 2/3 of our food program to a self-prep operation. Now, I assure you, this was not accomplished without several years of prodding leadership and board members about what we strongly felt would enable us to kind of control our destiny as it pertained to providing school meals and delivery services to our sites and children. Leadership and board saw this as somewhat of an anomaly, something that we would be stepping outside of our mission. And it was a risk to get involved in something like food service when our primary operational mission is positive youth development programming. But we were able to convince them that food is we look at this from a holistic perspective for our children, and food is such a vital part of what our children need on a daily basis to support them in their schoolwork and the time that they're out and about. So with an attitude, like we looked at it with an attitude of the buck stops here, our desire has always been to make meal service, whether site-based or as an outreach, the best it can be. Vendors still provide meals to our northernmost county, and they're doing a great job, but doing it ourselves kind of added a level of personal touch. Another benefit by our being able to do a self-prep operation and gain control of our food service has been the ability to be more flexible in how we can answer the call of our state sponsor when it pertains to providing meal services to children and families in pockets of the communities that don't have access to meal service. And that's very, very important. And in addition, we're also more flexible in partnering with community agencies who are promoting their own programs and outreaches. Now, I have to tell you that the food that we're able to provide is a valuable amenity, and organizations view it as manna from heaven when we're able to offer our assistance in their community events. It's become such a win-win proposition with these organizations having the ability to offer food to the families and children who are in attendance, and Boys and Girls Clubs are able to feed even more children and promote our food program and quite honestly, our full slate of education and recreational enrichment programs. And over the years, in addition to putting on our own summer food and child and adult care food program kickoff events, we've supported outreach events with our food with area public libraries who have held block parties, local and state police who do community night out against crime and drug events. We work a weekend backpack program with a local nonprofit, the Harry K Foundation, which is committed to fighting childhood food insecurity. Now, these partnerships enable us to gain all of the resources that are being coordinated by the sponsoring agencies, including a host of community service groups who set up booths. So we're able to, while we're there providing the food to the families and children that are attending the event, we're able to reach out to these same resources to help us when we coordinate our own food program kickoff events. So we've had immense support from for our events from first responders, including state and local police, EMT and fire departments. And these are awesome teaching tools for our kids when they come out and set up a booth and do demonstrations and displays. And we also get a great response from health agencies such as the American Lung Association, American Heart Association, and area hospitals and medical facilities who are very open to providing health screenings Now, we still take advantage of the traditional means of promoting our events, including local and social media, and we're able to establish relationships that will allow us to get PSAs. And in the case of maybe paying for things, we get the nonprofit rate, which is great. Another thing that we do whenever we have an event, in addition to inviting as many community service agencies as we can, and again, first responders and so many other opportunities for our kids, we also invite legislators, and especially during election time, they're more than happy to attend our events and present proclamations and resolutions and things like that. And that always helps us when reaching out to the media to cover our events. And we always get the governor to do a proclamation. In some of the pictures that have been shown, the governor's wife, the first lady, Miss Carney, she comes to our events, and she has her own personal mission dealing with hunger in Delaware. So we always get her support, and we are able to, during the event, honor an individual or an organization that's contributed in the feeding mission. So there's always great opportunities to get an audience, help build the audience, I should say. The most important thing that I can say about this, I know that everybody who is involved in feeding children, whether it's in nonprofits, in school districts, or whatever outreach it might be, is I know that you share a passion. It's a passion. It becomes something that it really becomes part of what you are, and you see the benefits. It's the great things that are happening with the food, and especially when we're able to enhance our reach and get even more kids. And I just think we need to always remember our food is an extraordinary resource, and it's paramount that we promote how, where, and why we want to make it available to as many children and families as possible. It's a great resource for other agencies to tap into. All of this produces an end result that can make us successful in expanding the outreach and increase the number of children who will benefit from outside school time nutrition. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to share. And I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great week and weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Missy. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Chloe. What a fantastic presentation. And we have time for Q&A, which is my favorite part. So as you enjoy these additional photos from Tony's summer meal sites, please think about what questions you have for our speakers and put them in the Q&A box, and we'll have time to answer them. While you do that, I also want to clarify one quick thing about the No Kid Hungry Summer texting line and free meal finder site. If you go look for your site right now, it's probably not going to be there. I should have shared that because we don't have the most recent data, right? So the information that feeds into our texting line and meal site is USDA data, along with any state agencies that are providing more updated data to our site. So state agencies on the call, if you want to provide us with additional data or more updated data or more nuanced data, for example, if you're operating non-congregate this summer, email me. I'll drop my email in the chat, and it's available on the slides, and I can send you this data template to do that. But what's most important is that the data will be updated when Summer Meals officially opens next month. So stay tuned for that. So to kick us off, I know we had a bunch of questions that Chloe graciously answered already in the chat about Pandemic EBT. So Chloe, I'm going to pass it to you to just kind of share some of those highlights from what you answered to kind of voice out to the rest of the group.
Yeah, happy to, Paige. I want to make sure I answered them there, but I want to make sure folks see them. So one question that was received, which I think is fairly relevant for everyone, is will all students in a CEP school automatically receive PEBT benefits, even though they don't qualify through direct certification? It's a great question. So yes, if your state is approved to provide Pandemic EBT, whether it's school year or summer, students that attend a CEP school will automatically receive Pandemic EBT benefits. So that's really great to know. Haley, great question in the chat with provision 2. I think with provision 2, it's a little bit more about our students qualified and then directly certified, but I'll get back to you on that one as well. So I want to make sure I have a really thorough answer for you. And then we had a question around when will benefits be sent to families. I know you all received many calls about this, and that really depends on each individual state's plan. So I think that's really a tough thing to call out. Generally, what we know is that states have to issue benefits this year by September 30th, 2023. So that really is pushing states to, if they're going to provide summer pandemic EBT, to get it out, those benefits out this summer. So I'm going to put in the chat the link to the USDA's Pandemic EBT page, and that has all the states that are approved currently to provide school year and summer pandemic EBT. And it keeps being updated very regularly with that information. So it's a great place to check. And then it links to state plans, which often give a kind of general time frame of when they're planning to issue benefits. And then there was a really great question. Will preschool and Head Start children under 5 receive pandemic EBT benefits if their program is on a campus that participates in NSLP? Great question, very nuanced there. So with that one, because it's children under 5, I believe because the end of the federal public health emergency, they wouldn't be eligible for pandemic EBT this summer. They are eligible for child care pandemic EBT, and many states are providing that. So at that link I'll provide about the USDA's pandemic EBT site, you can see if child care pandemic EBT is being provided in your state. So hopefully that would cover those kids for some part of the year. So those were the ones I got around pandemic EBT, and then I know I answered one in the chat too, which I'm gonna scroll back to find that one, but essentially you have to be in an NSLP, so the National School Lunch Program, or summer breakfast program operating school. Students have to be attending that at the end of the year in order to be eligible for summer pandemic EBT. So if it's a virtual school or distance learning, but the institution itself operates that program, then those students should be qualified if they meet the qualifications for the program. So thanks all.
Thank you, Chloe. Andrea, I see you raised your hand. Oh, you're muted.
So very sorry, I did raise my hand. I wanted to share one other thing, and I don't know if any of you would resonate with this, but a lot of our open sites are recreation centers and libraries serving the general public. And oftentimes during my site visits, I'll see lots of youth come and go, and meals are set out on a table, but they aren't grabbing them. And the frame of mind by staff oftentimes is that if a young person, wants a meal, they're welcome to have one. They just need to come up to the front desk and ask for one. And I would say we need to flip that and engage in positive youth development, meaning that we're not going to expect the young person to reach out and ask for a meal. It needs to be on the onus of site staff to reach out and invite each young person to enjoy the meal. And so I tried to model that during my site visits. And in fact, it's not necessarily a program regulation, but it's one that we can make part of the rhythm of our meal programs, is that we don't expect the young people to advocate for themselves in accessing a meal. We need to take on that responsibility and make sure that each young person that comes into our centers, or sites, is invited to enjoy a meal. And more often than not, they'll take you up on it. Because a lot of times they're so polite. They don't think that maybe the meal is for them necessarily. And so just wanted to put that out there, that there's likely young people that we can serve that are accessing our sites for other reasons, maybe basketball practice, maybe who knows. But if we just invite them, extend that invitation and let them know that it's available Monday through Friday, and remind them over and over again that that's a really impactful approach as well.
Thank you so much, Andrea. We have a question in the chat about that blender bike. So wondering from you, Missy, how you acquired it. Did you purchase it? Can you rent them? Also, if other folks on the call have blender bikes and want to share in the chat how they acquired their blender bike, please do. So Missy, how do you find it?
The company is called Rock the Bike. And so I reached out to Rock the Bike to find out how do I get one and how much do they cost. I was fortunate. I have a couple of different grants that I received, one from No Kid Hungry. So thank you for helping me purchase blender bike. But also in California, we have kitchen infrastructure and training funding. And so I was able to purchase a bike with that funding as well. I actually have 3 bikes. So that really allows me to get to more school sites and really touch more kids with the bike. And then I also use them at summer as well, and at after school snacks for our after school program. We use them as well as just kind of like an educational thing. But yeah, Rock the Bike, look it up. They do all kinds of different bikes, not just blender bikes. They do bikes that charge phones. They do bikes that will light a light bulb, bikes that keep a radio operational. It's actually pretty cool. Yeah, fun.
Very cool. Seeing in the chat too, some folks have gotten them from their Dairy Alliance. So lots of ways, very cool asset to have at your summer meal sites. We only have a couple more minutes, so I kind of want to ask a kind of holistic question, and it kind of leads to why we're having the conversation today about summer meals and also summer pandemic EBT. So as we know, getting the word out to get community members and children to your sites is so important to participation, of course. And once they're there, how are we leveraging their presence and that time we have, precious time we have with the children and families to get them access to additional benefits to support them. And so question to you all, if any of you do that in a way at some of your sites, how are you supporting children and families beyond that super delicious and nutritious meal they're eating with you? So I'll open it up, whoever wants to get started.
For me, it's partnering. So like I said, I partner with Riverside University Health System. I also partner with the library, but Riverside University Health System will bring out everything. I mean, anything and everything. We've had we had a table with the SNAP benefit flyers at one library. Whenever we have an event, I try to include them so that they can bring whatever community-based information they have that's going to help. I'm also very fortunate in this district. We have a PICO site, which is a parent. I always forget, but it's a parent outreach, community outreach, something like that. And they really reach out a lot. So I will have folks from the PICO site at some of our bigger events, so that they have unbelievable resources. I was actually floored at the amount of resources that we have for the community just in this district. So anytime you can partner with somebody who's got something else that can help a community or family or anybody, bring them on, however big, however small, bring them on. It helps every little bit.
Tony or Andrea, do you have anything to add?
We are going to be bringing on board a EBT enrollment specialist who will visit our sites on a rotating basis year round. And so they can connect families that qualify for EBT with those resources. And so we see the meal program as helping serve an immediate need, but connecting families with EBT as a more midterm solution to helping overcome vulnerability to hunger. And so that is a grant funded position as well. So y'all gotta try and, I mean, we have so much on our plates, pun intended. You know, we have so much on our plates. I mean, not to mention applying for a grant, but if you can, to try and get some of these additional supports, I say go for it.
Thanks, Andrea. Yes, do all that you can. If you can't do it internally, right? Leverage those partnerships. So critical. Tony, any last words? And then I'll close us out.
No, just in response to your question, obviously Boys and Girls Clubs, that the majority of the sites we serve, the majority of the kids that we take meals to are in the Boys and Girls Club program, whether it's a summer food or after school. So these meals are provided to them as part of their overall enrichment programming. So our thing that we need to do is how do we reach other kids because we have the food. So that's the creative part. That's why the partnerships are so important and the community events are so important, and why even our kickoff events are so important, and finding ways to reach kids outside of our clubs, because we're under the guidance of the Office of Child Care Licensing, who will not let us bring children into our sites. So we still continue to work to reach kids outside of our club. We have a lot of unaffiliated sites that we take food to. So that's kind of how that works for us.
That's great. Yeah, such great information, such great insight and expertise shared today. I know we're a little bit over, so I'm going to go ahead and close us out. Next slide. We want you to stay in touch, especially if this is your first time meeting us. So the best way to do that is to sign up for our newsletter, which you can do at that link there, or visit our website. We have a wealth of information, and spoiler, our website's going to have a nice new makeover coming up. We're very excited about that. So stay tuned for more information for a much more user-friendly website coming soon. And then last but not least, just want to share, we do want your feedback. A short survey will appear on your screen, so please take a moment to complete that. We read every single response and take those into consideration. So with that, I want to just say thank you to all of our fantastic panelists today, shared such great information. We are here as a resource. That's my email and contact information on the screen. I put it in the chat some time ago too. So never hesitate to reach out. We're here as a resource, and we hope to see you soon on an upcoming No Kid Hungry webinar. Shout out, that can be as early as Monday. We're talking about the non-congregate rural option. So see you soon. I hope everyone has a great day, and thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.